Launching an app on the App Store Part 3. In parts 1 and 2, I talked about how to consider a web app versus a mobile app. But here, let's go deeper into launching a mobile app. First of all, there are a bunch of product and technical decisions for you to make if you're building for both iOS and Android. Would you use a framework like Flutter or React Native and build one app that goes on both platforms? Or would you go build native apps for iOS and Android, most likely in Swift and Kotlin or Java, for example? Kotlin, most likely. Native apps are almost always going to be better, but depending on the functionality your app has, you may be able to get away with one of the multi platform frameworks. When it comes to design and user experience, you want to think native mobile experiences as you go through it. And there are certain things that are easier on the phone versus easier on the web, and you want to optimize for the mobile. For example, tapping on mobile is way easier than clicking on a website. And so you can actually have certain things appear one at a time, and you can have the user tap through them on the phone, and you may not lose as much at every screen compared to what might happen on the web if you did the same thing. Then you have to think about all the permissions you're going to ask the user and when you're going to ask for these permissions. Are they all going to be asked as soon as the user launches the app, or will they reveal itself as the user starts using your features? And you want to worry about performance and battery usage because on the phone, those things become important. You want to set up a good versioning system so that you can keep track of your intermediate versions and the versions that go on the App Store and what all those mean. You also want to set up the crash reports and analytics correctly so that you can track the crashes and you can make sure you can maintain a 98, 99% crash free experience for your users. You want to set up your deep linking correctly on the app so that you can run marketing campaigns that target the right screens. If you want to send users to a particular screen within your app, then that needs to be deep linked correctly in order for that to become even possible. And then you want to take a look at all the guidelines, App Store guidelines and Play Store guidelines so that you correctly launch your app because Google and Apple will want to review that. And also your privacy policy and terms of service because that's another thing they will review while approving your apps. Which means that you should really know what third party SDKs you're using in your app and make sure that you know what permissions they are going to ask for and what privacy policies they support so that that can be reflected in yours as well. If you're collecting any data, you want to be able to call that out so that there's no confusion on what data you're collecting. With terms of service, you want to be GDPR compliant and CCPA compliant if you're launching in Europe or California. I highly recommend if you're just starting out, launch without launching in Europe first, and then you can expand when you have GDPR covered. Keep in mind that it's very hard to be in continuous deployment mode when you're relying on App Store or Google because their review cycles may be anywhere from 3 to 7 days long. So plan your app versions accordingly. We'll go to part 4 for the rest.